Good morning. Welcome to 365 Days of Richer Living, daily morning reading, meditation, and prayer time. I'm Ray Ellis, Senior Minister and Spiritual Leader at Columbia Center for Spiritual Living in Columbia, Maryland. Today is October 1st. I am the perfect creation of a perfect God. So God created human in its own image. In the image of God created it them. Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. And our reading begins. We cannot conceive of the nature of God as other than a perfect thing, whose intelligence is forever creating, recreating, and sustaining a perfect universe inhabited by a perfect human. All the arguments devised by those who are unable to perceive this truth become as nothing when we look at our world and see God in every flaming bush and every act of nature. Only a perfect mind could conceive this universe as it is. Therefore, we must look at our individual world and at ourselves as we believe God knows us to be. The garments of limitation are cast off when we begin to transform our individual minds with the belief that we are divinely created and divinely sustained. Our God is with us, and our God indwells us as a perfect potential waiting our recognition and release. We know that we are born of the Spirit, that we live this day in a perfect presence, and that we are filled this day with an unlimited power for good. I have faith that I am a spiritual being, unlimited and free. I am not merely a material body with a human mind working in a material world. This is an untrue picture of what I really am. I now lift my thoughts to the mind of God and know, with God, that I am God's beloved creation, in whom God in whom God's pleasure abides. I am divinely quickened into new creative activities. All the ideas of its mind now awaken within me, and I walk in paths of righteousness and ways of peace. Today I am the perfect creation of a perfect God, living in a perfect universe of order, love, and endless possibilities. All is good, and all is well. So I invite you to join me in a time of meditation and contemplation as we take that into that time with us. Breathing in, I bring my attention, my awareness, my intention, all that I am, my breath, my mind, my brain, my imagination, my understanding, my lack of understanding. I bring it all to this moment of recognition. Of recognition that there is one perfect something that is everything. And I say perfect something because I recognize that to name it is to limit it in the idea of that name. And I recognize that it is beyond a name. It is beyond a human limitation assigned by a name. It is the singular source and substance of all creation. And by all creation, I am recognizing the physical form and the unformed substance that the physical exists within. Whether I call it the quantum field in science, whether I call it vibration, whether I call it energy, whether I call it the great mystery, whether I call it God, Buddha, Allah, makes no difference. But rather what I recognize makes the difference is that I recognize it, that I acknowledge it, that I begin to make space in my human experience for it, to experience the divine self that I am, that all life is. And as I do, I experience this one as life itself, as breath itself, is that power and presence that thinks my thoughts, that dreams my dreams, that beats my heart, that breathes my breath. That even while I slept, it lived its life in this body without my human awareness. In a world that I was blissfully unaware of as I slept. And as I recognize this, I am recognizing the levels of awareness that I call consciousness, and returning my understanding to consciousness, capital C consciousness, as the ground of all being, as the singular source and substance that has always existed, that is eternal, that has no beginning, so it can have no end. It simply is. That is infinite. It has no circumference. It has no edge. So it is forever and ever expanding. Scientifically, we see it at the edge, rolling outward into the dark space, expanding its light into the darkness with no end. All that I experience in this thing called life is that in form, individualizing itself, expressing itself in exquisitely individualized expressions of its perfection, empowering its perfection with all that it is, with the creative agency of itself and the absolute freedom of choice. So I speak my word, recognizing it as the word of this infinite ground of being, speaking itself, using that creative authority assigned as the agency of my being to speak itself into being. That all of creation is awakening to its magnificence. That even in the midst of chaos, there's a recognition that chaos is birthing newness. Even in the midst of the release of death in this human realm, there's a full recognition that the law of reciprocity is playing itself out. That the unformed into form is simply releasing itself back into the unformed. That the divine is simply changing its expression of itself. And we allow for the full scope human process. That we just simply open to experiencing every thought, every emotion. Nothing to push away. Nothing to judge. We simply allow ourselves to feel. Knowing that feelings are simply the presence of love. That grief and love, flip sides of the same coin in this human experience. And so we recognize the perfection of grief. We recognize the perfection of chaos. Recognize the perfection of divine discontent that challenges the set point of our ideas and moves us into a greater awareness of the power and the presence of perfection, of creation, of the unlimited expression of the divine. Grateful that life is never extinguished in the spiritual. Though life ends in this physical form, that life, that body releases the life that it is, never extinguished. It is the infinite being, individualized. It cannot be extinguished. And so I lift my voice, I lift my heart, I lift my mind, I lift my awareness, recognizing that in the midst of the chaos, in this human realm of the power of hurricanes and tornadoes and floods, in the midst of the pain of the human realm being abjectly rearranged, abruptly, painfully, unpredictably, I know that the presence and power of God, of love, of peace, of perfect order is right there in the midst of what appears to be chaotic disorder. And I know that every heart that is experiencing this human loss is equipped to feel, is equipped to heal everything that is felt, everything that is experienced. And so I call that forth to comfort, to bless, to guide through the infinite intelligence within each the next correct thing to do. Even when that thing to do is simply to sit and be and feel. I'm so grateful for the love of humanity that feels beyond physical boundaries. It feels that unbreakable connection, that indefinable sense of oneness, that humanly, seemingly human urge to help, to assist, to lift up our fellow beings. Beyond any identity, beyond any physical station in life. Oneness rises to that awareness and shows us who we are. So I speak my word that we retain that sense of oneness, that knowing of oneness, that connection in a peaceful, loving way. That we meet one another at that place of caring and concern, of common embrace, even when there's no tragedy to motivate. That we hold one another, that we hold the whole of humanity in an embrace of kindness, in the curiosity of what is best for the whole. Beyond what is best for me, beyond what is best for mine, what is best for the whole, recognizing that we are each a cell, a body, seeking the harmonious operation of one, what is best for the whole, and to listen, to feel into divine intelligence whispering, informing us of its vision of life for each of us to express. That we as points of light reach a place of trust and joy and surrender, that we simply say yes to being what we came to be. Yes. And to know that that yes is met with every provision to fulfill the vision. Yes. And so in this gratitude, knowing it's already complete, I let go. And by letting go, I am acknowledging that I release any mental obstruction to the fulfillment of spirit in my life. I release any doubt. I release any need to control. I release into full surrender. Ashe. Shalom. Aho. Amin. Amen. And so it is. Namaste.